Okay, I have another important question to ask you. In today's fast-paced world, we have mothers that they feel like they're so busy, and so they buy a lot of prepared and a lot of fast foods that they just can throw in the microwave. And now, I personally feel that when you're in the kitchen serving your family, that's just great service that you're performing. I would love to know how you feel about that. Because obviously raising 8 boys and being a member of the Osmond family over the years, and you've told me that you've traveled, your family has traveled all over, and you've been so busy. And I think we have a lot of mothers that say, "Oh, I'm so busy, I can't do this," and here we have you, a person that I know has been busy, but yet you've managed to feed 8 boys, gather around the kitchen table. I would just love to know your personal feeling about your role as a mother feeding your family.
I would say that it's been a priority, and you have to make it a priority and then be organized. I used to have a watch that had an alarm on it, and maybe this is a little bit OCD, but I had it set for a certain time in the afternoon that it would go off, and if I had not started dinner, I better start heading for the kitchen. And that kept me, kind of on track and doing what I needed to do, because I felt like my home ran a lot better when I had a schedule. So they knew about what time things were going to happen, what time nap time was, what time dinner time was, straight to the bathtub, into stories, and tuck them into bed and those kind of things. I think children are happier when they do have a schedule to follow and they know what to expect. They knew that they would get a nice dinner at night. I went to a PAC meeting one night with the boys, and there was a mother there that said, "Well, my kids got Cheerios for dinner tonight." It had never occurred to me that you could give your children cold cereal for dinner. That just had never even crossed my mind. But you give them, something that is, not that that's not wholesome or good for them, but I was never raised that way. Maybe that's why. We always had a nice meal at night, especially, and usually a good breakfast in the morning too.
Now, as a mother, when you walked into the kitchen, did you feel like that it was just a burden, that it was just too much, that life was too hard, or why should you have to cook dinner anyway, or did you find great joy in what you were doing?
Well, I found great joy, but that's me. Maybe not everybody's that way. But I find if I have the right tools to work with too, that's been important. To have the right equipment to work with. My husband always had tools. He loved to work with things and build things. And he had good tools. Well, he's made sure that I have good tools too. And that makes it so much easier and fun to do when you've got the right equipment.
Now, were there ever days where you just felt like that you just were overwhelmed with it, or because you made it a priority, it just...
Well, you might be, but again, if you plan and you schedule, you can think ahead and say, I want this tonight, and so I better start this salad at this time, I better do this. And at the same time, you're throwing a load of laundry in, or you're changing a diaper there, and you're busy constantly, but in my mind, I do better with having that order. I don't like stress. I have stress if there's not order. And so maybe that's why I do it so much, because it does alleviate a lot of stress just by having that structure.
And so I think I understand where you're coming from, that being in the kitchen has been a blessing as your childhood, because you were raised that way, mm-hmm. and now you've passed that legacy on to your children because you've showed them. Now, how do their wives do?
They do very well. I've got some great little cooks for daughters-in-law, and when we get together, we have certain assignments. So everybody contributes and brings something. And I've got some that like to create their own recipes and come up with all kinds of fun things just for fun, because they're creative too. And so I have loved having these girls, and we get together in the kitchen too and have a great time there. Or in their homes, we go and get together too.
Okay, now here's the big question. Mm-hmm. The big question. It's wonderful to have the family together to cook and to build those family bonds. And I can tell that with your family, that's just been a wonderful experience. Sometimes is what stops families from doing that is after the family goes home and there's the big mess to clean up. Or even raising 8 boys, I'm sure there were a lot of dishes to do. How did you feel about that?
I like help. I can't agree. I can't deny that. I love to have the help there. And my mother also taught me that the quicker you clean it up, the easier it is. And even if you have to put it in the kitchen sink and let it soak. So that's just kind of my thing. And they get up with me and help me too. And then we're around the kitchen sink spending time together. They're drying, I'm washing, they're putting away, they're doing all of those things. So again, we're spending time together. It's usually just the girls in the kitchen. But there was the boys too.
Time.
Yes.
And when they were growing up, did they spend time in the kitchen too, cleaning? And
they did, probably not as much as I should have had them there, but they did.
But in other words, what you're saying is that what happened around the table and around the food thing, the cleanup, that far outweighed the time you spent cleaning up.
Well, right. And I remember Alan's mother had a great attitude about this, my mother-in-law. One time everybody kind of up and left, and there she was, smiling in the kitchen sink, washing dishes, and I said, "Oh, Mother, why don't you just get paper plates and make this so much easier?" And her comment to me was, "These are happy dishes."
Oh, what a wonderful thought.
I thought, what a great example, what a great attitude that is.
Oh,
because I don't know that I would have always been that happy about it, but she recognized what that meant.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful.
And they were happy dishes.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for the time we spent with you. It's just been a pleasure. And I'm still just, I feel honored to be here. And, I met you a few months ago, and the first time I met you, I thought, I really want to get to know that person. And I am so thrilled because I just look at you and I'm just amazed at the person you are and the fact of what you've done in the kitchen with your family. I think that it is so important for people to see that it can be done and understand no matter what size of family, we need to take time to get in the kitchen for our families and cook for them. And food really is a common bond that really binds the family together.
Well, it is, and I have to say thank you too for teaching me a lot more about grains and the healthiness of them, and now we're incorporating a lot more into our own diets here, and even onto our grandchildren, things that I had never been taught before.
So those family favorites that you cook, you're throwing grains in now?
Yes, with your sneak nutrition. I'm slipping some of those things in there, and they don't even know it, and they're loving it.
And they're loving it. Mm-hmm. And those that know it love it anyway.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.